Very
So
good.
first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm super excited.
Yeah, of course. Me too. I was super excited to have you on. I know we've been kind of talking about getting you on. So I was going to ask you, it's kind of like a general question that I basically ask everybody that comes in, but everybody's got a different story. So how did you get into, training, working out, and then, eventually like competing?
Well, sheesh, I've been working out like since 2020, during like the pandemic era
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
I met like oh, what happened?
I don't know. You kind of froze, then you came back. All right.
Oh no,
So
that's
you
weird.
you is there you said you started working out around 2022 or
2020.
2020. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like 2020, and it's crazy because I've never stepped foot at a gym. So, and it's kind of funny because I was like an athlete back in high school.
Hmm.
And everyone was like, "You never stepped foot at a gym?" I'm like, "No, but let's test it out." So, started working out, and then
So
I think I,
how did you train for, being an athlete in high school? Was just doing the whatever sport you were doing, but not
yeah,
actually
it was
going
just
to the
like
weight.
softball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's how it was. I would say like around 2021 or 2022, I kind of like took it serious a little bit
Hmm.
as far as like learning like the bodybuilding, like workout,
Yeah.
stuff. So, started to surrounding myself with a lot of bodybuilders and people who competed.
Hmm.
And my gym has like bunch of like posters of competitors and stuff like that. So I'm like, dang, I want to do that too one day, you know?
Hmm.
But yeah, I started like bulking up, not like the healthiest way, but
What
I
did
mean,
you
it was
what
a
did you bulk up on?
gosh, I was just eating like, burritos, tacos, like it was just fast food. It was just horrible. I was just like, I need to gain weight.
So I'm not gonna lie to you. Whenever, so this is a long time ago when I was putting on like major amounts of muscle and mass.
Mm.
That's how I started. Was the same way. I was just trying to get in as many calories I possibly could, and so like I would eat just the worst stuff in the world. And thinking back, that was such a terrible way to do it. But at the time, it just there was a lot of conflicting information. Some people were saying, that's the best way to do it. Others were saying no. And so like I kind of had to learn through my own experience. Did you have something similar happen?
Yeah, I think I just wasn't really aware like what to eat. People were like, "Oh yeah, you should just eat this and that," and then like carb up or whatever. But I just wasn't as familiar as like how to eat healthier, like
Mhm.
cleaner, the bulking up. And I was just like getting like those like mass gainer protein stuff or whatever, those powder,
Yeah,
like chugging it.
for
But
sure.
it helped. And then, then 2023 came around and I was like, all right, I think it's time for me to compete.
Mhm. How was it? How was it starting to bodybuild, for the first time really during the pandemic? Like I have an experience of bodybuilding for a while before that, then getting into pandemic mode, but you like started during that. How like was there any different? Did you notice anything?
Uh, I think it's just, I don't know. I mean, obviously it was a struggle as far as like, the gyms having like a lot of like rules and regulations and stuff like that. And at the time I was pretty paranoid with like the pandemic
Sure.
situation. So um
Yeah.
like um I don't think it was just any difference because luckily like we had a gym that was like um pretty easy as far as like they had an indoor and they had specific like certain amount of people indoor and then they have people outside outdoors and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So they try to manage it. But I felt like I never struggled with that. It was just more so
That's
like I have to go under the rules and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. I mean, because it's a lot of times like people had such a hard time depending on what state you're in too.
Yeah.
they just couldn't even get into a gym, which was, difficult, especially if you're trying to compete and, trying to build yourself. It's, you can kind of maintain, but if you're trying like at home or with some little weights here and there, but if you're trying to build, you need more, and it's tough with, without a
Yeah.
gym. So,
Yeah,
um,
I was kind of just doing it here and there, like home
mhm. So you get
at the
into
gym.
you get into bulking and you bulk up. Like, what was your weight, I guess? Do you have like a measurement of how much weight you gained during the bulk?
Ugh, so I think I started my weight around like 120. That's pretty tiny. And then
It is pretty
over
tiny.
time, over time, I gained up to like, obviously my weight was fluctuating, but
Mhm.
the last time before I even competed, I was like 164.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
jumped pretty high. And like, yeah, it was just a process of just trying to figure out like my diet and stuff. And I've had like coaches like who like sent like meal plan ideas and stuff. And like
Hmm.
that's kind
Hmm.
of where I got the idea. But um,
Yeah.
yeah, I just had to cut all the fat out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's, kind of that's similar to what I do too. Like, I'll have girls or guys, ask my opinion on their diet and things like that. Sometimes they're clients, like actual clients. Sometimes they just want like my views on it. I'm a big believer in trying to put in calories, but have a quality calories, And I think sometimes like you kind of when you're new, you kind of start out just putting in as much as you can, but then as time goes on, you're gonna probably adjust that diet to kind of fit your body and fit how you react to those
Yeah,
foods.
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So how did you end up like getting on stage? Was it when you said you wanted to do the bodybuilding thing, you wanted to start working out? Okay, you get to the gym, you bulk up. Did you know immediately that that's like you wanted to get on stage, or was this just something that you just wanted to change your physique?
I feel like it was both, honestly. Because there was points in my like, life where I was very like self-conscious of how I looked and
Hmm.
I wanted to cut down and lean out, but I just didn't know how. And I was like, maybe like also too like competing could, test my mentality as well.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I just I like to test my mentality and see how I can handle things and stuff like
Hmm.
that. But it definitely helped me out to just bring me out of my shell, which was another thing why I competed. Um, and just to prove a lot of like prove myself. Obviously always for me like prove to myself and like also hope to inspire other young girls because I'm 23
Hmm.
and
I can tell. I
like,
mean, you got to be in like your early 20s,
yeah.
So I'm assuming, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm 23, and so I was like, you know what, how cool would it be? Like, a lot of people know like my life situation as far as like, I take care of my family, like my mom and grandma and all
Mm,
financially.
mm,
And so I learned how to be super independent stuff. And yeah, like just going through like life situations and then going through prep, like it really was like, oh, man, I got everything. I got it, even though it
mhm.
was hard and stuff, like it just felt good that I was able to push through that race, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's incredible. You said you're taking care of your mom and your grandma,
yeah,
young age of 23. That's got to be tough.
yeah. Yeah, my mom, she had like a business and she had to like stop it and stuff because
Mhm.
she got this like heart condition. So like
Oh no.
yeah, so she's better now.
Mhm.
So we're just making sure everything's all good as far as, her heart and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So like, I took responsibility in my hands and so I was just going through that, the loss of the business that my mom had and then like my cousin passing away. So it was just all through
Mhm.
that and then next, I was like, okay, I'm gonna compete. And like I'm just throwing everything on my plate. I don't know. But I did it. I pushed through. And I feel strong like than ever
Yeah.
before.
I
you
guess
know?
it's like a feeling of accomplishment. You're like
Oh yeah.
you've got all this going on. You're getting hit in life and from different, angles. And then you're like, I'm just gonna do this show. I'm gonna train, I'm gonna get in condition, and I'm gonna accomplish this task. And it makes you feel good about it.
Yeah, it does. It was just tough, because obviously prep just gives you all the ups and downs as far
Hmm.
as like emotions,
Yeah, yeah.
putting stress on your body.
For sure, for sure. So what show did you end up doing?
So I did the Excalibur last year, 2023,
Hmm.
in December. So yeah, it was the last show and it was stacked. It was like 300, 400 competitors and it was wild. Like I wish like they could do like a 2 day show because it was lasting like early morning, like probably like
Yeah.
I don't even know, like 8, 9 to like 10, 11 at night. It was ridiculous.
You're not the first person, excuse me. You're not the first person that said that something needs to be done about these big NPC shows and even some of the pro shows too, but the NPC shows are huge because they're amateurs. So you've got all these, in your case, girls competing. There's so many of them. It takes forever. By the time you get on stage, you might not even look the same. And then not only that, how good of a look do you think you're gonna get if the judges are judging hundreds of people back to back to back? I don't, they're probably not giving everyone the time that they really deserve. Not to their fault that they've got to get through hundreds of people, but if they split I think everyone would get a better look too, better comparisons and so forth.
Yeah, I 100% agree because from what I've seen and heard, it was really traumatic for like me to witness it. Like as far as it's like it was just scary, like I
Hmm.
was just hoping that so basically like a lot of people kept leaving and just left the show because they just couldn't handle it. Some people they overslept and like, their time,
I think really
passed out and I was just like, wow, this is crazy.
so you have people that
Sorry,
left.
what were you saying?
Oh, I was saying you have people that left the
Yeah.
show. That's wild. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
some people had left the show. Like, yeah,
that's so much work to
sorry.
put into and then to leave. I don't know if I would have left, but then again, how bad was it that they left too? I'm like, maybe it was that
Yeah,
rough.
I don't know. I didn't really like question it. I was just like, wow, okay, like, you know,
Yeah,
hopefully they could compete again, but
yeah,
it was just, I think it's just everyone was pretty frustrated as far as like how long of a show it was.
yeah,
And I guess like I heard like a couple of girls saying like they felt rushed, going on
mhm.
stage
Yeah.
and it
Which
kind of sucks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It really sucks, and I totally see that happening. Absolutely, I see that happening. Being rushed like that. Yeah, and it does suck because you pay your fees, you put your money into it. I was just talking to a female competitor not that long ago, and she was just we were discussing how much money it takes for a girl to compete. There's way more than a guy. You're talking about makeup,
Oh, it's crazy.
posing, all that goes into it, and by the end it ends up being a good chunk of money. And so to be rushed and not given the time that you deserve is yeah, it's not good. I definitely think something should be done, and they probably will at some point, but
Yeah, I
um
would hope
but
so.
yeah,
At least separate,
yeah,
maybe guys could go first, I don't know,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
some way, somehow to do it because it could put so much stress too on bodies, I guess, because
yeah.
everyone was fainting.
Yeah, I mean, well,
So,
yeah, especially if you're dehydrated, it's definitely like I could see that happening because even on shows that aren't taking that long, people are extremely like it can get extremely lightheaded and so forth. So it's like you imagine you're at that point, you're like, okay, I need to go up there and get this done with, and then you're like, oh no, you've got a few more hours to wait before that happens. I mean, in that kind of
yeah.
condition. That's
Yeah,
tough.
I think I went on stage like at 10 at night or something, 9 or 10, but I was just it took hours to just get on stage and
How did you
it was bumpy.
feel? Yeah, how did you feel? And you said it was bumpy, but like, what do you mean by that? And how did you feel like going up? Like, okay, it's your turn. Did you feel excited? Do you feel like, like what were the emotions that are going through you at that moment?
I think it's pretty funny. Like there was moments where I was pretty shaky and like nervous because
Hmm.
like I think I was pretty intimidated by how the judges looked. But I mean, it was a long day for them, so they just had like a monotone like face. I don't know. It was just so serious. I was like, oh,
They
how do
weren't
I?
smiling
I'm
at you or
like,
anything.
oh, like we're not smiling, okay? Like I'll smile. It's fine, I guess. But there's moments where I was pretty nervous, but majority of the time, like I was pretty calm, like backstage and stuff. And it was funny because like the people in charge are like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm cool," because I didn't want to like get myself too excited and then like not think straight and stuff. So I was just trying to
Hmm.
remain calm as much as possible.
Got it.
But like when I was just out there waiting, I was just emotional. I was tired, everything. Like I let all my emotions out. But backstage, I was just like, "Okay, it's game time. Like let me just calm down." So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
good, you know. I was like, this is what I wanted. This is it. This is my time, you know, and
Hmm.
um, I'm gonna compete again, obviously. So, you know, just make it memorable and stuff like that. So, yeah.
What kind of feedback did they give you? Did you get any?
Honestly, yeah, I'm not so mad about it, honestly, because they said that I just need to just grow more shoulders, which is valid because I need that myself. And I would have to pop out like my quads a little bit more. So obviously a little bit more growth of quads.
Hmm.
Um, because I guess I wasn't like so like lean where certain muscles were popping out, I
Hmm.
guess.
Hmm. Hmm.
Can't think of the name right now, but
Yeah.
um they just said that and then obviously like abs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because my
Well,
stomach was just flat.
yeah.
But they said just
Yeah.
more of a toned abs, I guess.
I gotcha. So, well, the thing is that you're at a place or a good place, like a good starting place. Like your first show, you're not going to be, at where you're going to be later on.
Right.
And this is a good test to see kind of what you need to improve and where you need to go. And I mean, I'm looking at like I'll pull up some of the like your Instagram, but it looks like you brought in a good package for your first show. And then the other thing is that you're gonna get to know your body better every time you compete. So and your body is going to get used to prep. So every
Right.
prep is you're going to get better, you're going to look better, you're going to look leaner, you're going to get to a much leaner state every prep.
Mhm.
So it's all those things will come with time. I don't think that's anything you would need to even worry about at this point. But I'm just
Yeah.
this picture. So you were saying like your stomach is flat, but there just wasn't much definition there.
Yeah. Yeah, they said they wanted more definition and uh like on my medial area of my quads, they wanted
Hmm.
more of like it to pop out, but
Hmm.
they said glutes and hammies, it's perfect.
Yeah, yeah,
I just have to make it denser. And I'm like, perfect.
yeah.
That's all I worry about. Because you know, wellness is all about like for sure like the lower half and glutes and hammies and stuff like that, you know.
Sure,
So that made
sure.
me happy. But
Yeah.
it was not much of a feedback. It was just very little things like tweaking and
Hmm.
it just made me happy, you know, that like you know, I
Yeah.
mean, regardless of my feedback, then that's something that I'm more aware that I could bring on stage next time I compete.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you able to see what I'm seeing on the screen? Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
watching.
I'm
Yeah,
all
you do.
watching. I was like, oh, that's me.
So what's your favorite, like when you're training legs, like what's your favorite exercise to do?
Well, I just changed it right now. So I would
Hmm.
say, I used to hate this, but now I like it. Like split squats.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I like split squats because it just targets more of my quads, and now I'm
Yeah.
having more of like a pump because I tend to do legs, but somehow my glutes and hammies keep getting activated. So I need
Hmm.
to like learn how to just only try to, focus on quads. So that's what
Yeah.
I've been doing. But split squats
Yeah.
are like my favorite right now for
Yeah.
quads.
So you probably just you need to like kind of do some isolation stuff and really focus
Yes.
on, yeah, got it.
Yeah.
To-
Definitely most of my isolations. Yeah.
Totally. So you said you are, obviously planning to compete again. Do you have something in mind? Are you going into your off season, at this point?
Uh, yeah. So I'm currently right now in off season.
Hmm.
And just right now I don't have a coach, but I do have a coach in mind. But it's just right now just still eating healthy. Now I'm aware
Yeah.
of like what to eat and how much I
Yeah.
should eat and stuff. But I'm in no rush. Probably see myself in a year and a half. Let's see how my body is.
Sure.
But
Sure.
yeah, I just want to take my time and build.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think like you're in a place where you can take the time to develop because there's no sense in you jumping into another show. Like
No,
if if your feedback was that, something to do with peaking or something to do with like some refinement, you could do that within a short amount of time. But if your feedback is grow, that you need time for that.
oh yeah,
You can't do that in a short amount of time. And
yeah,
I don't know. Obviously, you're very well probably aware of your division, but you see some of these girls at the high level NPC or pros, they're they're massive, like with their legs are massive. So they have better, I mean, to be honest with you, they have better legs than some of the bodybuilders do, and it's the only way you can get that growth is time, so I think
oh yeah.
you've got the right idea for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I want to take time and then instead of like doing like NPC, I kind of want to do like IMBA, like an all
Hmm.
natural show.
Hmm. Hmm.
So my goal is to get a pro card. So that's why I want to take my
Yeah.
time and stuff like that and just compete with uh all natural people.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever thought
Yeah.
about competing in the NPC natural? I know some people don't want to do that, but there are, I mean, as they claim to be, they are some people that do compete in the NPC naturally. That's obviously like some of them do well. That's not a
Yeah.
it's not unheard of. Let me put it that way.
No, yeah. I feel like I would stay naturally.
Uh-huh.
As much as I can. Who knows, maybe like, in the future, but from now
Yeah,
on, I just want to stay natural and
sure.
just see how my body is and get to know my body as well.
Yeah.
I just don't want to put things that I'm not really knowledgeable of in my
That,
body,
that
and it's tough.
well, I tell you what, that's smart. That's smart. I was just talking to a girl that I was giving her some insights into some of the issues that she was having. She hired a coach, and this happens often. I don't know if you've ran into this yet, but just, to be aware, a lot of times some of these coaches will put them on, you know, PEDs without any kind of care, and just because they know the PEDs will make them grow, but then their health gets ruined in the process. So this girl in particular had an issue with her thyroid afterwards. So she's recovering. She's doing things to try to,
That's
better
good.
her thyroid and everything like that. But the thyroid controls your metabolism and things like that. So you can really have a really rough time if your thyroid's malfunctioning. So that's just some of the things that like I would tell the girls. That I know in your case you're 100% natural, but if you ever just go down that road or talk to somebody going down that road, I would say, be real careful.
Yeah.
You want to listen to your coach, but you also want to make sure that they're doing what's best for you.
Yeah. I just feel like most likely I'm just gonna be natural because
Yeah.
it's already too like competing itself like as a woman, like it's expensive.
Oh yeah, you're
Like
like I
just
can't afford
adding
it. I
just
can't afford
like,
it.
like hold on. I'm just gonna work out,
Yeah,
something that I can afford and just grow. Like I'll just be patient with it. And I'm young, so I don't
yes.
wanna like do
Oh,
all that. I don't
absolutely.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Don't.
yeah,
I
no,
mean, for sure. Don't take it the wrong way. I wasn't trying to push you to
no,
take
no,
it.
no, I'm okay. No, it's and a
Yeah,
lot of people ask me like, "Oh, Zha Zha, like, would you ever take it?" I'm like, "No,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
scared. Like, I just want to be natural. I think it's fun to really challenge yourself, like, all naturally.
Hmm.
But I mean, if you do it, like, I have no judgment with people who take it. I just
Sure,
worry about them. Hopefully, like, they take care of their health because it does mess up
sure.
like a
Mm.
lot. You know.
Yeah, no, no, I completely understand. And I think you're absolutely right. I think you are young. You just started really working out within the past, few years. You did your first show. I don't think you have any even, you know, not that you would ever, but any reason to even look down that direction. I think
Most
you've
likely not.
yeah, you have and you're doing well. Like like as I said, I was looking at your pictures. I mean, the development is evident. So I think you just grow and continue to get better and that's what you're gonna see some major improvements for sure.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So now you say you don't have a coach at this point, but you're just trying to eat clean and then just trying to do it yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, I get like ideas. Like obviously, like I look at my old like meal plan and see like, oh yeah, I totally forgot. Maybe I
Hmm.
could eat this, but I try to like um implement nothing like so plain like just chicken and rice. Like I like to
Hmm.
change it up a bit and stuff and eat like normal again, I
Hmm.
guess. I don't
Hmm.
know how to explain it, but I just kind of it
Yeah,
helps me mentally, doesn't make like, oh, I have to eat this again, like
yeah.
chicken and rice,
Do
plain, blah blah.
do, do you build it into your like plan? Do you like say, okay, well today I'm gonna eat like this or like Mondays and whatever, I'm gonna eat like this, like or do you just kind of do it as how you feel that particular day?
I I usually just do it as how I feel,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. Like I said, I like to just change things up and stuff. And
Hmm.
then like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like I'll eat like sweets here and there, but like I don't
Hmm.
indulge it. But
Right.
yeah, and then as far as like measuring, I just kind of eyeball it. And so like with oatmeal, I'll measure it with oatmeal and stuff, but just
Mm.
depends like how I'm feeling. I just don't wanna, kind of be like overwhelmed mentally, like, oh, I have to
Sure.
measure, I have to measure, I have to measure, and be so
Sure.
strict about it.
Sure. Yeah, and a lot of times, I mean, for me personally, like I'm a creature of habit. Like a lot of times I'll eat the same thing in the morning, right? Or like majority of the
So,
time. Or, so I'll measure it once and then I'll never measure it again because I already kind of know what it is. So if I'm eating kind of
mm,
similar foods, then there's especially no reason to measure, at that point. So,
yeah,
um, but I mean, and when you're in off season, it's not as big of a deal. When you're in prep, that's when you really have to be meticulous because you're trying to lose body fat. You're trying to lean out, and so
yeah.
for that, you do have to monitor everything. I would say, I would.
Oh yeah, I'd be
Yeah.
really, really strict as far as like I'd be like on my scale and I'm like 1 point over it. Now, let me just I'm pretty like to the T, so
Yeah,
I know like I could focus up as far as like when it's time to like, you know, prep.
yeah.
But for
Hmm.
right now it's like I just want a well balanced life and well balanced, meals and stuff. So just
Sure.
trying to keep myself mentally like good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what made you decide to go with this division with wellness? Why not bikini? Why not like, um, like well, I guess that would be the only two that I would think you would want to entertain. But
Yeah.
what made you decide with wellness?
Um, I think like I didn't choose to do like bikini because I've been so petite like all my life and I hated it. And I really like looked up to other girls who had like really nice legs and stuff and glutes and I'm like, wow, this looks nice. Like
Yeah.
respectfully, like wow. And
Mhm.
I was like, I just want to, have size on me too, because I was
Mhm.
really tiny. Like I was like 120, like very, very tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've had like a picture on my Instagram, like of how I used to look back then, but I was like that, and then I was like, maybe I'll just do wellness, and
Yeah.
yeah, I look up to Tiffany, Sam.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's pretty like amazing. She's young too.
Yeah. Uh,
I found out her age. I was like, whoa.
so you said you have a picture, how you let me see here. Let me pull it up. Uh,
Yeah,
it's a one
it's
second.
in one of the slides.
Okay, let me see here. Is
Uh,
it at the very top or
kind of a little bit down, more, a little bit more. Okay, I think it's the middle one with the gray leggings.
this one right here?
Up top, up top.
This one?
Yeah, yeah.
This one right here.
hmm So on the next slide, I think I have the before
Okay, because
picture.
it was like it's not this for sure, right? It's
No, yeah,
yeah.
no.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
how I look back.
I will tell what
Uh,
a dramatic difference. I mean, what a dramatic difference
yeah,
between these two
thank
pictures.
you, thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I was like 164 around
Hmm.
there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I was pretty petite like
Hmm.
back then, and then got
Yeah.
size and then cut down. And I feel like me cutting down like really, really lean and now bulking up, it helps me to start like at square one
Hmm.
and bulk up properly.
Yeah, properly,
It's
properly. That's the key, properly. Yeah. Yeah, because I
properly.
mean, and the only reason that I'm really big into the proper bulks is because a lot of times, and I see this with guys a lot, but women can do it too. It's they'll put in too much body fat, and then when the prep comes, they'll have to lose all that and then some, and it's like instead of, putting that much on, maybe don't go so far overboard. But in your case, I wouldn't necessarily say that because you're so young, you're so new, you're so fresh, your muscles are fresh. I wouldn't necessarily apply the same thing, to you because I think you've got more room, for that. So for
Yeah,
sure.
I think like bulking up too, like as you mentioned, like people gain a lot of fat. Like for me, like I obviously had fat on me, and when I like dropped weight, it shocked me because I was like I thought I was bigger, but I'm like small. I was like, oh
Yeah,
my gosh, and that's
yeah.
like the thing. Like a lot of people bulk up, and maybe they have more fat than muscle, and when they cut down, they're like, where everything go?
Yeah.
Like, and that's just like that's why you have to like properly bulk up,
Right, right.
So,
That
and
yeah,
that's what happened to me.
that happens a lot. Like people will say, "Oh, well, my legs are like," they'll start measuring like themselves. They'll like say, "Oh, my weight went up here. Oh, my leg is like now this much bigger." But I mean, who knows if that's muscle or fat or how much of muscle,
Right.
how much fat until you cut. And then when you cut, then you're like, "Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not as
Yeah.
much
And it
muscle as I
happens
thought."
a lot, crazy. Like I've seen a lot of friends who are bulked up and they look great. And then they cut down, they're like, "Ja, like,
Yeah,
well, I feel tiny." And it's like, well, now you're the foundation, so now you just gotta build up again. And it's
sure.
okay. It's a process. That's what bodybuilding
Yeah,
is.
yeah. It definitely is a process. You're 100% right on that. How did
Patience.
yeah, how did your mom and your family react to you competing? Were they supportive? Did they because obviously bodybuilding is a very niche sport. I mean, even though more people do it now than they have in the past, it's still like predominantly a very niche sport. So not a lot of people understand it or even can, you know,
Yeah.
compare themselves like to that. So how did they feel about it?
My mom, she was very, very supportive. I more
Mhm.
than anything, I feel like she was just more worried like how things would be because of like what a lot of people, they know me like they're like Zha Zha has an attitude when she's mad. And they're like, everybody get ready, like, and my mom's just like, oh no, like this is gonna be, I'm scared, like I just don't want you, like, feel so bad. I was like, it's
Yeah,
okay, mom, like this is what I want. Like
yeah,
she's like, if it makes you happy, then I'm here for support. And like my coworkers and like my friends and like close people of mine, they're all just like, uh-oh, Shaja's gonna compete, guys. Like, let's prepare
Everybody
because
get ready.
everybody, if the war is about to start. But they're obviously supportive, and I
Yeah.
just feel so bad because I just put a lot of like close people like through so much stress because of my attitude instead of like
Hmm.
all my emotions. But
Hmm.
it was my first show, and I think I just wasn't aware of how to control it and
Yeah.
stuff like. But I was good. It was good,
Yeah.
and then I had my moments, which is
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
completely normal. But my mom was really supportive, and she actually wanted to help me like meal prep and stuff, so
Oh
she was
yeah, that's
helping me with
awesome.
that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it helped out a lot because I work a lot too.
Yeah.
My grandma, funny thing is she never knew. She
No.
never knew I was competing. But towards the end I showed her pictures and she goes, "Oh wow," like, but I just didn't want to tell her. I felt like I
Yeah.
just didn't
Yeah.
want to worry her and stuff.
Sure.
But
Sure. And
yeah.
yeah. Sometimes I'm like that with my grandma too. I'm like, grandma, we tell grandma what grandma needs to know. That's
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, and it was funny because my mom and I were like, how does your grandma not know like how your body looks? Like now it's changing,
yeah,
And
yeah.
every like morning check-in, my mom sees me, she goes, "Who are you?" And I'm like, I'm dropping weight like every week, so
That's
it was
funny.
just
Are
crazy.
you the only child?
Yes,
You are.
the
Okay.
only child, but I have half siblings and stuff, but
Yeah,
they don't live here where I'm at, but
gotcha.
we're pretty close.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, that's very
Mhm.
cool. That's very cool. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm very excited for you. I think you got a bright, future ahead of you. Sounds like you
Thank
got a
you.
good head on your shoulders. And to your point about, I think especially if someone, like if you have moments of like, well, how can I put this? If you have moments of where you're like kind of emotionally compromised, where you start having like, you get angry easier, whatever the case may be. I think competing is actually good for you because it kind of humbles you a little bit too, and it's like,
Yes.
and so like you learn to kind of deal with those things on a regular basis, and so you become
Mm.
like more in control of yourself too, so
Yeah, I think also too, like I always tell people is like competing helps like with energy wise as far as who's worth your energy.
hmm
Because you're at a point where it's like you're trying to conserve it so much, and then like obviously like you're gonna be around people, so it's like who's who's taking your energy away and who's not taking your energy
yeah,
away, like who's uplifting you and who's not. And that's like where it could help boost you, like to determine who's your circle, you know what I mean?
sure, yeah,
You know.
no, no, the
So I'm heavy on energy.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. And I was thinking about something earlier in the same way too. It's like I only have so much time, and especially if you're like competing and you're prepping, you only have so much time. So what happens is you focus on the people that are giving you positivity,
Oh
and
yeah.
you don't have like sometimes if you're like as you go through life, you kind of deal with different kinds of people and so forth, and you kind of maybe entertain others that maybe aren't the best for you. But like when you're competing, it's like you have so limited, ability, especially when it gets closer to the show, that's like you
Right.
only give the energy to the people that are valuable, to you. So if that makes
Right.
sense, so
Yeah, no, it completely makes sense.
yeah,
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 I think that's how like that's like the biggest thing that about like competing is that the
sure.
energy. Yeah,
Totally.
for
Well,
sure.
Zha Zha, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Thought it was really interesting to have you on and get your perspective on like a first time competitor, like recently starting bodybuilding, like how that is, for you. Sometimes I'll have people on that've been bodybuilding for a long time and their perspective is different than your perspective, so sometimes they forget how things were. And so I think it's important to have people like hear, how it is at the very beginning too.
Yeah,
So
thank
yeah.
you. I had so much fun. This was like
Yeah.
my first time, Like I
Yeah.
feel cool in my gym beats, and I'm like talking
Yeah.
to you. You got your mic set up. This is
That's
fun.
funny.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. If somebody did want to reach out to you, like maybe for more podcasts or anything like that, or maybe advice or something like that, what would be the best way for them to reach out to you?
For sure, Instagram.
Okay.
Instagram, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really about it. That's all
Yeah.
I use.
Yeah, yeah. And guys, I'm gonna link everything at the bottom to make it easier for you, so you won't have to go too far to get to Zha Zha. So, all right. Well, thank you so much.
So
You take care.
thank you. I didn't even. How do you say your name again, by the way?
Armin.
Armin.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciate you, Armin, for having me. So,
Of
thank
course,
you.
of course, and we'll have you back on the show again soon, I'm sure. All right.
All right. I'll see
Take
you
care.
soon then.
Take care. Bye
Bye.
bye.